Hello, everybody, and welcome to Churchy Chats with a Church Girl. I am so excited that you have tuned in tonight, and thank you for last week. We had some storms in the Gulf, and we did our show on Sunday night instead, but we re-aired it on Tuesday. But I just want to thank you all for rocking with us, even with a change of day. Tonight, we have so many good topics and some amazing panelists with us. I'm Alicia Wiley. If this is your first time here, I am the owner and creator of a Church Girl, which is a clothing line that has since evolved into a lifestyle brand that seeks to uplift and inspire everyone we have the privilege of connecting with. And just a personal note right quick, many of us are feeling the loss of Chadwick Boseman. Amazing. It was unexpected, to say the very least. And as I was thinking about it today, as I was getting ready for the show, he played a lot of biopics, right? He depicted a lot of characters in the Black community that means so much to us. And I was wondering what was so different about Black Panther. And then it hit me. In Black Panther, he actually played himself, which was a king. So we just want to say rest in power, and we appreciate you, sir. We appreciate you and what you did for our community and what you represented in this world. So our heartfelt condolences to his family and friends and those who are grieving this great loss. All right, let's get into it. So I'm going to have our panelists to introduce themselves, and then we are going to jump right into tonight's topics. Lauren.
Hello, everybody. I am so honored to be here. Thank you, Alicia, for having me.
Absolutely.
My name is Lauren Spearman. I also go by the moniker The Bounce Back Advocate. I am an inspirational speaker as well as a podcaster. I have a podcast called Check on Your Strong Friends. So
Okay.
I'm just so, like I said, excited to be here. My bread and butter is mental wellness, and I believe in Jesus and therapy. So
Amen.
I look forward to tonight's conversation and sharing with these great individuals that are on the panel.
Thanks for being here, Lauren. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Talk to the people.
What is up? What is up, my brothers and sisters? My name is Donovan Childs. I go by the name Don D's online. That's my creative ministry line. I am a pastor in Los Angeles, California, and we are just, I'm just about pushing them good vibes of the gospel. I recently got into the podcast world myself. Got a YouTube channel, so we're just doing all the things, just trying to get them good vibes to the people.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Donovan.
Yep.
Shana.
What's up?
Why am I singing people's names tonight? I don't know what's the deal with that. Anyway.
What's going on, everybody? I am Shana, aka Evangelist Shane. I too am a podcaster. I am the founder and the host of the Save Millennial Radio podcast. You can catch us over on the good old IG and that good stuff. And I also am a private chef, a kingdom entrepreneur, and I just love to uplift the name of the Lord. And I like to have a good time while I'm doing it. And I'm excited to share once again.
Amen. So we're going to jump right into our topics, but I'm actually going to, I have a surprise topic for y'all. Not really a surprise topic, but I just need to know one thing before we get into our other topics. Brandy or Monica?
Oh, sis.
I just know.
Now.
Who's going first?
Where we at with it? What did y'all think of the verses? I mean, just
it was definitely needed for the culture. I'm so glad that we got to have that moment, especially like you said, after Chad. Yes. I feel like we needed that healing music, but I am definitely a fan of both ladies, but Team Brandy last night.
Okay. All right. You agreeing.
I'm agreeing, man, because it's sentimental because that I'm a guy. I didn't really do the ladies CDs back in the day when people remember CDs. But
you can tell us the truth. You can tell us the truth, Donovan. We're not gonna judge you. We're not gonna judge you.
Here's what I was gonna say. So what I was gonna say is the first CD that I ever bought was Brandy. And it was because
Come on.
I want to be down. I'm sitting up in my room, almost done. You know what I'm saying? So I had a partiality, but I do love Monica as well. So, but Team Brandy.
Okay, Team Brandy. Shana, what you got, sis?
So here's the thing, right? I really wanted to just celebrate both of them, right?
Yes, yes, I understand that.
Like, I loved it. It was so good, except for like the last 20 minutes, they could have wrapped it up. But I was telling my husband, for me, what ultimately did it was that I knew more of Brandy's stuff than I did Monica. Like Monica's old school stuff for me was it, and Brandy too, because I love her as a vocalist. She is just unmatched. But I think that they're both amazing in their own right. But yeah, when we got toward the end, I was like, sis, where the rest of your songs at? I don't know this trap music.
I'll have to agree. I think it went a little longer than it needed to. There were a lot of, it felt a little shady at times.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to be absent from that. I didn't want that to be there, but it is what it is. And there is some small entertainment value to it, I guess. And I think the main difference, as I was thinking about it, is Brandy was more of a brand, right? She was an actress. She, Broadway, she, Cinderella. And even with the Wait Until Exhale comment, Monica was like, they didn't call me. They didn't call me. And I was like, well, sis, I mean, they weren't going to call you, not because your voice didn't lend to it or you didn't have what it took, as much as the image that is connected with certain things and with certain people. So that just kind of makes you think about, and it's not her fault. That's why I don't want to say it like that, but it does kind of make you think about how you present yourself, right? Because that will affect the opportunities that you have. Although, it's not her fault that she was raised however she was raised and things happened the way they happened, but it's just the truth. And I was Team Brandy. I mean, I had to be down last night. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there because I had to ask y'all where y'all landed on that. So last week, the NBA did something that I think was absolutely huge, and they boycotted a couple of games. And it started with the Milwaukee Bucks, and they didn't come out of their locker room, on, I think it was right before the game 5 of the playoffs. And other teams followed suit, right? So I had my thoughts about it, as you all do, and I want you to share that, and everybody does. But I came across an article. Leo Terrell, he's a civil rights attorney, and he got on Fox talking to Geraldo, who looks really good, by the way, to say he's not as young as he used to be. But anyway, it's not the point. But he felt that it was disingenuous, and he said that Black men don't feel like they're being chased by the police. And this is not 1950. And we don't protest before we have all the facts. And we cannot base everybody on what happened to George Floyd. This is not George Floyd. He just really had some interesting thoughts about this. What do you all think about the boycott and Mr. Terrell's take on it?
Child, who's going first?
I absolutely agree with the boycott. They talk so much on the opposite side about how we don't do things peacefully and how a lot of times, the looting is violent. This was something peaceful and people still had something to say. And where I think that Leo missed the mark is that he doesn't realize that even though a lot of those basketball players live affluent lifestyles now, they came from the neighborhoods of George Floyd. They came up in that lifestyle. A lot of their family and friends are still there. So this is something that still resonates with them and still means something to them. And as far as having to get all the facts before you protest, well, when you see something with your own eyes, such as a man who came to break up a fight being shot in cold blood in his back. He's not a threat to anyone.
Right.
I feel like what more is there that you need to see? Because even if that person is a criminal, they should be detained like people of another race are detained peacefully. They should not have to be shot down and paralyzed and handcuffed to a bed just in order to be taken into custody.
I absolutely agree. What are your thoughts, Shana and Donovan? What are your thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Donovan.
Okay, well, just real quick, I'm a black man, and I absolutely feel everything that he said we don't feel. I don't even know where he's coming from with that. I remember, like, when these things first started happening, like when the rest of society kind of started waking up a little bit. I went to a boarding academy in high school up in the mountains, so I got a lot of white friends, and they started calling me. You know, like they never called me before. And I shared with one of my friends, I was like, listen, man, let me just give you a little insight on what a police stop feels like to a black man. Have you ever had a phantom pain in your chest because you think that's the most exposed place and the cop might actually shoot you there? You'd be trying to brace yourself for, okay, what's exposed right now? If he does shoot me, where is it going to be? And I've had that in police stop. I have phantom pains where I'm thinking I might be about to be shot.
Yeah.
This guy is, I have more to say, but we'll start with that.
Shana, what are your thoughts?
So, I don't really have the words to describe the anger that I felt listening to him say what he said on a predominantly white network and not protecting Black men and Black women. And it's almost like, you know, there's this thing there's this such thing of some people in the Black community that did march, you know, back in during the civil rights age and stuff, where they feel like, you know, because we don't have it as bad as they did, that it's not as meaningful. And I can't stand that thought process or where that even comes from, because, and how can you not say that it's not real? Like, it's literally happening in front of our faces. And I think the one thing that really burned me up was where he talked about, you know, saying that we don't have all the facts. How much more fact do you need than a video of a man walking away to his car, getting shot in his back 7 times? It doesn't make any sense to me. And it really is. I feel like it's so hurtful to the Black culture and to just Black people in general that are trying to fight against inequality and things like this, to have someone going on a network with this type of rhetoric. And of course, you know, the people on that network are going to tokenize him because he's saying what they want him to say.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing for me was disappointment. Like, I was like, I cannot believe, like, I couldn't literally believe my eyes and my ears. Like, I'm sitting here watching this and hearing this, but I don't believe the words literally that were coming out of his mouth. And there are people who are born with privilege, which is really nothing that they can do about that, right? You're born into it. And then there are people who are given privilege, right? Because of, you know, affluence, or because of what they do for a living, or, you know, whatever. And whoever has it, use it. Whoever has it, use it. I'm not mad at a white person because they're privileged. Just use it. I'm not mad at a celebrity for privilege, but use it. And when this big of a statement is being made, do you know how major that is? Especially coming off of the heels of the NBA and all, you know, sports being shut down due to a pandemic. But can we truly just take a step back and realize how major this was? And to have a Black man, specifically a Black man his age, who has a specialty in civil rights, to get up and say that this is disingenuous. Like, I was literally flabbergasted.
It was sickening.
Really, like, I was outdone, and I don't understand. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him. Not really, but at least to try to help me understand You know what I mean? Like where he could even be, I don't know. I'm confused because if I get stopped by the police, and I'm gonna let you make your point, Donovan, if I get stopped by the police, I feel okay, what's about to happen to me? Is this it for me? So I don't know what he means when he says that Black people don't feel like they're being chased by the police. And we don't feel like they're the boogeyman because there are Black policemen. And what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? And I'm so confused. Matter of fact, me and my sister got stopped on our way to a wedding the other week. And I was like, Lord, this is going to go from 2 girls on their way to a wedding to, I don't know, right? To I don't know. So I was relieved. I took a sigh of relief when, we got a ticket, but I took a sigh of relief when we drove off with our lives.
Yeah, 100%. My husband, we were coming home actually from, I had did a dinner. I did a private chef dinner for a client, and we were on our way home. And we were like maybe 10 minutes from home. We got pulled over for our tail light was out. So we were already like nervous by just getting pulled over by the cops. But then we they give you like a work order. And in Maryland, you have to take after you get whatever the problem is fixed, you have to go to a police station so they can sign off on the work order saying that you got it fixed. And I wasn't able to go with my husband because I had meetings and he had to go by himself. And I literally was like scared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just because someone feels threatened or they think they saw something or they don't like the way that he looks, or whatever the case may be. And he told me like when he was sitting there waiting for the cop, he said that, his heart was like palpitating because he was just like, they don't know me. They don't know anything about me. They could just, whatever. And like, I think about all of the Black men in my life. Every time this happens, and even before, started really being publicized, I always would think about all of the Black men in my life. Like what would happen if they get stopped by a cop? And it's like, white people don't have to think about that. They just don't. It's not something that they have to think about. And for him to say that is not like that's not happening, like, sir, what are you talking about?
It's ridiculous. Donovan, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I always, whenever I Fox News and these things, I always try to. There's a little cringe, straight up, but I always when I get these Black people on here, I'm always like, where do they find these Where are these Black people?
It's always that one.
Is it a special casting agency where they find these people?
It's always the one.
Exactly. There's always one, and I'm wondering because I'm like, okay, I know sometimes there's an unpopular opinion, and I'll listen to the unpopular opinion, even if it's against what pretty much every other Black person in the world is saying. But then there's the second layer, which is there actual validity to your unpopular opinion? And there isn't.
There's none.
He's just in another world. He's totally out of touch with any reality of any Black person that I've known ever. Even the one that he, the senator that, or the representative that he was talking about.
Yes.
He kind of twisted the dude's words. He was not saying that he doesn't have fear of the police. He says he respects the institution that the police, as a public service, should stand for. I still respect that. And I think there are more good cops than bad cops. I don't know from what we've seen, but I believe in my heart that there are. Right. So. Yeah, that's always one of the things that I'm looking at when I'm seeing these people. Like, is there any sense to what you're making, and where are they finding you?
And to me personally, I don't feel as though he spoke for not even a small percentage of the population of Black people, because even with myself being an educated Black woman, we have examples like Sandra Bland.
Yes,
we have examples of Breonna Taylor. So I really don't feel like anyone is safe. And then I'm the mother of an autistic son. He's 5 years old. So then I think about situations like Tamir Rice, where my son might be in the park and he doesn't really always understand or comprehend direction, or either he may think you're joking and he may just start running like it's a game of chase, and then he's lost his life. So I feel like it hits on all levels where there is some type of genocide on the Black community, and I am absolutely fearful. Like Donovan said, I feel like he's completely out of touch. I don't know where he's making these justifications from, where he lives, what his background is, but he absolutely does not represent the majority of the Black community with his statements.
Yeah, and they use people like this, like Donovan said, wherever they get these people from, they use people like this to try to change the Black narrative and try to make it seem like the rest of us are crazy and the rest of us are living in this fantasy world that's not real. And Shana alluded to, even before, everything was so publicized, my nephew, there came a day where I had to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Listen, son, now you're driving. Now we live in the South. Yeah, we live in New Orleans and everybody loves New Orleans, and it might not feel like the deep South, but it is red. Do you understand me? It is a red state. So I need you to know and understand that you are a Black man, that people do not see you. People see you as a threat. People see you as somebody to be afraid of. And I'm not telling you not to, live your life and be free, but this is just a part of the plot. Unfortunately, this is just a part of what we have to do and conversations that we have to have as African Americans. And I think people like him, it's just erasing so much of what we have to work so hard to do. Our voices to be heard and for people to understand, especially on the type of platform that you're on.
Yes.
Geraldo should not be louder than you protecting and representing for the African American community. When should that ever happen? When should that ever happen? So it was just, I don't know, it was a lot. It was a lot. But I just thought, I really wanted to get y'all thoughts on that. Does anybody have any final thoughts on?
I wanted to say one last thing too. Especially, it reminded me when you were talking about they have these like talking points that they always somehow they spin it around to this. And when he started talking about the looting and things, it reminded me of that viral video from Kimberly Jones. I don't know if you guys remember that. She was doing the Monopoly analogy.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, that thing is real. And what she said at the end was, she's like, you better be glad Black people just want equality and not revenge. Because you got,
that part.
we know where to take that guy and have our intervention with him, and then we can get to the real business at hand. So we just need to really think about, even on these points that they try to make, what are the underlying reasons that those things are happening? Because that's what they always want to throw at you, but then they don't really even want to deal with what's underneath the surface of that very talking point that they have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just want to say that Geraldo and his wife are most definitely invited to the cookout.
Period.
Because they absolutely get it.
Yes. Yeah.
I wanted to say one more thing about what Donovan was touched on, as far as like how they're trying to make this whole narrative about the looting and the rioting and all that. Now, I'm not about to get out in the streets and tear up nobody's Target or nothing like that. But in a country where capital is valued more than human life, yeah, we gonna tear it up because that is what you value. The reason that people feel like, and they're in communities where things like food, things that are overabundant in this country, are not made available to them. So y'all want to talk about these, like Donovan said, you want to talk about the action that you see, but you don't want to talk about the reasons why these things are occurring.
The root of the problem.
Yeah, and here was my thing with the whole issue with the rioting and stuff like that, and the comments that people made. I watched my timeline very carefully when all of this stuff was happening, and the moment that I saw a white person post about the riots, I immediately went to their page. I'm gonna get, because maybe I didn't see the post that you made about George Floyd. Okay, maybe somehow I didn't see that. So I went back to their page and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. And the last thing we were talking about was a Tupperware party. And then now you're talking about how ridiculous it is that people are looting and protesting, and I did not even have the energy to do anything but press unfriend, because I'm not doing this with you.
Yeah.
I'm not doing. I used to try to justify, well, no, my energy is unfriend. I was just like, I'm not doing this, because if I have to explain to you the issue in this, then we have a problem. We have a problem. And most of the people, I mean, I wasn't really personally connected to. It was either, old colleagues or, old classmates. But still, I'm through. I'm done, because I'm not having a conversation with people who see it but refuse to acknowledge it. I'm just not doing it.
100%.
Agreed.
No, I'm just not doing that. So, Mr. Leo, we're not here for you. We're just not here.
Period.
That that is where we are with that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our first commercial break, and we'll be right back. So we are back with our second topic for tonight. I mean, I don't even know. Okay, I don't even know how to ease into it. Ain't no easing into it. Pastor John Gray has been caught up in an entanglement. Yet another entanglement. And okay, so here's what we know. Okay. Sis' name is Mary.
Mary.
He was having a conversation with Mary about getting her mask together to go on a trip. So that is how we know that this is current. He had a conversation with her. I don't know if it was on FaceTime or whatever, with his son in the back seat, making comments about his wife not cooking, and a comment about his son eating pizza every day, and the oven pizza, the little DiGiorno, whatever. So that's what we basically know. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on this?
Canceled.
I think first and foremost, I do have to make the disclaimer that these are allegations.
Yes, allegedly.
So this is all alleged. However, I feel as though at this point it's a pattern. And that's what's dangerous for me. It's one thing to go through a situation, acknowledge it, repent, put yourself out there for the court of public opinion. But once you are in this situation yet again, I just, at this point, there is some type of a problem. And I think that even if there was no contact between Mary and the man who is married, I know that just the fact of you talking to someone about your spouse and what your spouse is not doing, and creating an emotional, connection, and bashing your wife to someone, and offering them to go on a trip to, get their bikini, and showing them a picture of a private jet. This is just all so unfortunate and so messy, especially seeing as though this is the same woman who stood up on a platform and talked about how she was going to fight the devil to save her marriage. So it's just extremely unfortunate, especially since he is such a eloquent speaker and an anointed preacher, that he is fighting these personal demons. But I feel as though, like I said, at this point it's a pattern, and it's time for him to take some time away, step down. I mean, if I was sis, it wouldn't take another time, but I'm not married, and I know married life is a little different.
Sure. And I understand and respect that. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that too much, because I'm gonna let y'all talk. But how it makes his wife look right? As we talked about this last month, we did our little he said, she said theories. And even in July, we did a women's thing. And we just talked about how women are much louder as it, because we were talking about Breonna Taylor. And my question was, if she was a man, do you think that, her killers would have been arrested? And we were just talking about how women tend to be a lot louder when it comes to protecting our men and it comes to fighting for our men and that type of conversation. But when I'm loud and proud, and I have my thoughts about what she did too, but then you turn around and do this to me again. Like,
that's it for me. Like the lack of honor for his wife and his marriage. That's it for me. This isn't even for me. This is not even an issue. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not even an issue as far as like, oh, he's a Christian man. This has to do with you being a man, period. And the way that his wife has stepped up and defended him on so many levels, and she has taken like so many like just harsh words from people and stuff from from coming to his defense, and you're just gonna sit here and have no regard, no honor for this relationship. Like, what's the point in even really like what? I don't understand why you just get out in these streets and continue to embarrass her, embarrass your family, embarrass the body of Christ, because, sir, you are the pastor of a whole mega church. It's an embarrassment, and the lack of honor and integrity, I can't do it.
Yeah. Donovan, speak on it. From the
mother's
we need a man's perspective.
I got 3 things to say right now. Okay, so as a pastor, you love to hear great sermons and messages, and you share with your other friends about pastoring. I have to confess, I have not really heard much about John Gray, except for the 2 times that he has been unfaithful to his wife. That's number one. The second thing is, there are these things that are like, all my bad, right? Like, hey, honey, we have a top-loading washing machine. When you take the laundry out, can you leave the top up so it can air out? Oh, my bad, I forgot to do it. Did you take that check? Oh, my bad, I'll do it tomorrow. John, fidelity is not an all my bad thing, brother. This is not something that you can, and what happens is, I understand how, and this goes into the third thing I'm saying. I understand how, as a spouse, his wife wanted to be. I mean, that must have been, who knows how much strength it took for her to try to be that strong when she gave her defense sermonette for the first time. But for some reason, I think it might have registered in his mind that, oh, okay, if this happens again, I'm covered. I'm covered. I have no idea, but it's like an enabling thing. And there's this whole thing where with men and women in a Black community, in our community, there's not an equal sense of protection for each other. I mean, I think, and it goes all the way to the spectrum here in the spiritual realm with John and his wife, and then in the entertainment industry with Meg Thee Stallion trying to protect this guy Tory Lanez, who shot her in the foot. I mean, proverbially, John is shooting his wife in the foot, and she's up here having to take all of these L's, all of these darts, and then for him to turn around and do that, it's like, yeah, there's a problem, there's an issue, just like Lauren was saying, there's a pattern, and I think that's probably where he really needs to start working on this. I understand people are human and we make mistakes and stuff, but it's like, yeah, this is not an all my bad moment. You got to protect the honor of your wife. You're gonna say, let me honor my wife and bring her on the stage, but then in the bigger stage of the entire world, you're not saying that same thing. This is inconsistency, man. You need to take some time off, go into the cave, go into the brook with the Lord, and get the ravens feeding you so you can start working on that thing, man. Because yeah, that's we got to do better in a community for our women. We have to uplift our women, and this is not it.
Yeah. And go ahead, Shana.
I was just gonna say, I wonder. I mean, I used to watch the show on OWN when they had their reality show on there, and I wonder if Aventer, his wife, if she feels almost a necessity to stay because she doesn't have her own like brand, right? Her brand is connected to John's brand, and I wonder if she feels like a sense of like I can't leave because that will adjust the entire my entire lifestyle for not only myself but for my kids. I wonder if I'm sure those are things that she's probably considering and thinking about, but at what point do you make the decision that this is not going to work? And I think that's like a lot of people talk about Black women and how we're independent and we're too strong and we're too this, but then in a situation like this, it's like you feel like you need to have some of that independence and some of that kind of like self-reliance or whatever, because if you're ever in a situation where you need to get out, you want to be able to get out.
Yeah, and I think to that point, if you have decided to stick with this situation, I'm gonna need you to sit idly by. I'm gonna need you to sit down and shut up, straight up. If you're going to just take it because you want a lifestyle, then you've agreed to this.
Yeah.
So sis, sit down and shut up. I don't want to hear you talking about how this woman was Satan. First of all, I don't even have time to get into that. But on that, I just need you to sit down and shut up and just, if you've decided that this is the life you're going to live because you want to live a certain lifestyle and you want your children and you want yourself to have this certain kind of life, then you don't have a voice in this, right? Something Donovan said, don't honor me on the public stage if you're not going to honor me on the larger stage, right? So that reminded me of something. I was reading this book. It was written years ago. It's a really, really old book. And it in the beginning, it had a disclaimer. It was like, God is not going to be capitalized throughout the book. And you know how we feel about that. Oh, capital G, capital G. But it said, because if he's not capitalized in our hearts, then it doesn't matter if he's capitalized on a piece of paper. And when I tell you, I mean, I still capitalize God. However, that gave me a different perspective, because if you don't capitalize me in your heart, then on a piece of paper means nothing. So, John, if you bring me up and you buy me a brand new car and you bring me in front of the congregation and tell the congregation how much you love me, but on the stage of your heart, I mean nothing to you.
So good.
And you know what? I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm not going to say that it's the lifestyle, because in watching the show and watching their interactions, I honestly believe that she truly loves him, and is devoted in him, and is, takes her vows seriously that she made to God. I think it's more so not wanting to admit to it being true, and the embarrassment and the public shame, because even on her page it was put out there, like we said, allegedly. So it's almost as if even she's not even convinced or coming to terms with the fact that this is the reality. But what I feel like is that she would have a much better lifestyle if she was to separate herself, because now you've got a whole, I'm an independent woman, I have been wronged, however I'm going to bounce back, I'm going to move forward.
Come on, bounce back advocate.
And I'm going to let other women know that they don't have to stay, through being treated unfairly. And there could be books, interviews, conferences. There's a lot that she could draw from that strength in leaving. So I hope that she's not staying because of the lifestyle, because honey, you can get a lifestyle on your own.
Yes. And if they love if she loves him, I can't speak to whether or not he loves her or if she loves him, but if they love one another, the bottom line here is he has a problem, as everybody has alluded to. He has an issue. But what it feels like, we're not in that situation, so we don't know. But what it feels like is you don't have a desire to change.
No.
You're not trying to be better. You're not trying to do better. And I, for one, I don't want a leader who's like me. For some people, that's a draw. Oh,
He's human.
I want to be able to relate to you on other planes,
Other levels, yeah.
not on the plane that and I'm not saying that people are drawn to that, but some people are, quite honestly. Some people build their ministry on, well, I did this, that, and the other, and I can relate to you. So come on, because I cheated too. But have you stopped cheating?
I'm like you. I need my leaders to have integrity, character, and discipline.
Period.
100%.
When you speak over me,
you're doing what other people out here doing.
And there's a higher call, and I think I'm gonna read the comments and I'm gonna make this comment. Dante said, having been married and been in the situation, he and his wife, if they're not going to work on their marriage, need to peacefully part ways. Each need healing and both deserve better.
Absolutely.
I agree. Sean said there needs to be an intervention, time off from ministry to receive professional help. I absolutely positively agree. Co-pastor Janelle said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I don't know who made the comment that it might have been Lauren. Not being married, I can't always speak to how I would react in a certain situation, but I mean, how much are you supposed to take? The Bible clearly gives you permission to divorce
in the event
of infidelity. And I'm not saying that she wants to divorce him. I'm not saying she has to divorce him, but he has made you look like a pure fool. And that hurt my heart. Now, she didn't have to go the way she went with her little sermonette, but still in all, she put herself out there for you.
And you know what made me really mad was hearing that he was complaining to the woman about the fact that she makes the kids pizza every day.
And he was talking about cooking for her.
And he was talking about cooking the woman brisket. So you're going to cook this woman brisket and baked beans and potato salad and all of this, but you can't cook for your kids and help your wife?
That part.
Okay.
What were you with Donovan? You want to get in
there? Yeah. So I don't know. So I kind of try to do some more digging, just to see if I could find out some more. And I don't know if any of you guys, if you saw his message the next week, it was like this kind of public apology he did in front of the church. It was like this 50-minute long thing, and all that was playing in my mind was something my wife told me once. She said, the hardest people for a pastor to convert would be his own family. And that's because they know him. They know his actions, or they know her actions. They know their behavior and their pattern. And what I'm saying is, I don't want to see you give me a 50-minute lecture, bruh. I want to see your action sermon. Let me see your action sermon. And then after that starts changing, then maybe I'll be ready to listen to your reflections on the situation. But while you're still in the struggle, don't talk to me about Samson and Moses and all these other people and how you can dissect them. It's like, bro, that exegetical work, you need to change that, take that over to the therapist, and let's start working over there.
Yeah. And Dante made a point. He said that he's still a candidate for God's grace. And absolutely, we all are, right? I just think the way that it is being dealt with, it's just not, it's not to his benefit. And it makes me wonder about the people who are his pastors. Every pastor needs a pastor, right? We know that he has been on some mega stages. Who is holding you accountable? Is there nobody that cares enough for you to say, listen, come on, we have to deal with this? And to Donovan's point as well, my dad's a pastor. And the number one thing that I respect about him, I know that my dad is not perfect, but he has lived the life that he preached about, at least for the 33 years of my life. He has, and I have so much respect for him because of that. Yeah. So I hold people up to a certain standard, and I expect you to not make mistakes. That's not what I expect from you. But I expect you to have integrity, and I expect you to be honest enough with yourself and the people you are leading, and just to get the help and do the work.
Yeah.
Right. Do the work that you need. And here's the thing too. there's a danger to the celebrity preacher.
I was just about to say that, sis. I was just about to say it.
Because we get in our minds that, you know, the money, cars, clothes, and what I would usually say if I wasn't on here, the women, you know, the money, cars, clothes, and garden tools, we begin to believe that that is a part of the process. That's a part of my job description. I get the groupies because I'm a celebrity, and there's nothing wrong with being a well-known preacher. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not trying to make it seem like it's something wrong with that. However, it is a fine line that you have to walk, and you have to have some kind of discipline.
Yeah.
You have to have some kind of people who will hold you accountable, who will call you out on your stuff. Because once you're a celebrity, once you have the reality show, once you have everything that you need, where is God? Where's your Holy Spirit? Where's your conviction? Where is God in this? I'm curious. I need to know.
And the thing that makes me so upset about this is like, it's all good. I'm like you, sis, like, I don't mind that there are, you know, preachers and stuff that are out here doing what they're doing. Like, go get your coin, whatever. But the thing is, people will make an entire judgment about the entire body of Christ based on the image that they see from these very few preachers. Like, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of churches. Okay. And people will make a judgment about the entire body of Christ and the church based on what they have seen, these few people that have been highlighted, when there are so many churches that are churches of 100, churches of 200, churches of 50 that are really in their communities, building those relationships, doing the work.
Honorable men and women of God.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much harder for us to plow and till the ground when you are contending with people who refuse to walk in integrity when they are in the limelight. You have that much more responsibility. That doesn't exempt you from having a fall. That doesn't exempt you from making mistakes. But even when you have a fall and a mistake, there's a way to handle that with integrity and honor. And when that is not done, it is so crushing for us, those of us that are working so hard in our local ministries to really try to cultivate and spread the gospel, you know, spread the truth. When you got stuff like this going on, it's so hard.
It's hard. And to whom much is given, much is required.
Much is required.
Yeah.
So you have a responsibility. Go ahead, Donovan.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say on that same point, it makes me think about Christian representation. So not even just the fact that he's a pastor, but he's a Christian, right? There's a guy, I don't know if you guys heard about this before, it was this baseball player that when they started the season, they did a moment where they would take a knee for Black Lives Matter, just kind of acknowledging the humanity. And there was one player in all 4 teams, one player who didn't stand, who didn't kneel, and he was a Christian, and his reasoning was, I'm a Christian, I don't kneel for anybody except for God. And I made a little post on my Instagram about that, and on my Facebook, and the people that were coming for that, they were like, their whole point was, look, this guy has the right to do whatever he wants. I said, yeah, he does have the right to do whatever he wants, but what he doesn't have the right to do is misrepresent devotion to God. These things are not in context. What you are doing is a misrepresentation of people who are Christians. Christians are people that acknowledge the humanity of others, that honor our people that we're in significant relationships with. We don't willy-nilly throw that thing around. And when we have people, like you're saying, boots on the ground, trying to spread love, trying to talk about, all right, this is what it means to have a life with God. This is why it's such a good benefit. I have a buddy that's in London right now, and he says one of the reasons why they take religion as such a joke is because back in the day, when one of the kings, he basically dismantled the church and built up a new church because he found a pope that would let him divorce his wife.
Right.
The thing is, like, it's misrepresentation of what it means to be a follower of Christ. And yeah, we're always going to be combating that, but yeah, this does not help.
It does not. And I think when we think about when we mess up, because we all mess up and we all, have falls,
Fall
and
short.
Yes.
there are people, there's kind of a list of people that you kind of think of, right? You think about, if you're married, of course you think about your significant other, you think about your children, you think about that type of thing. And for me, I'm a youth pastor, so I probably think of them. I'm more concerned with disappointing them than I am with my parents, right? Because
Mhm.
I mean, they know more of the person, you know what I mean? They know more of the flawed person than the kids do. But at the end of the day, it breaks my heart to disappoint God.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart to represent him in such a way that it's not representative of who he is and what he is in my life. And to me, when we lose that fear and reverence and even that respect for God, like, come on, we don't have enough people that are against the Christian movement. You know what I mean? We don't have enough examples of how poorly Christians handle situations, and how we don't respect marriage. We don't have enough examples of that.
I was just about to say we do not respect the sanctity of marriage. You're in my same vein. It used to be a time frame where you used to have to wear that scarlet letter A if you
Mm,
committed adultery. Adultery was taboo. It was the whole mind frame that no man is ever going to leave his wife for a mistress. It was the most shameful thing you could do, and now it's glorified everywhere you look. Even with the song by SZA, The Weekend, our
yeah,
culture is shifting
yeah.
to where we are accepting this. So I mean, even though I don't agree with the first time when Aventer got on the platform and said that the woman was the devil, in cases like this, Mary, you knew he was married.
Period. 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 And that's the thing. My mind just has a hard time being wrapped around this whole situation. Because guess what? If you don't want to be married, brother pastor, then get divorced and
Get
do you. Now,
divorced.
you're not technically free to do you as a Christian, but I have more respect for you
Mm-hmm.
Right.
if you just get divorced and be private about what you do. I'm not saying that it's okay, but I'm losing every ounce of respect that I had, and not that I know you personally enough, because I don't just respect people because they're on the platform, right? So not that I was, a John Gray fan or a follower, not taking anything from him. However, I have nothing for you now, just
Mm-hmm.
because there are so many decisions that you could have made leading up to this that could have prevented this. We don't have to
Absolutely.
be, you don't have to be here, but it seems like you're making the decision over and over to be in this
Yeah.
compromising,
There. And I was a John Gray fan. So it's been very disappointing to see the whole thing unfold. And to me, it would be one thing if he was like sincere about like, oh, like I really keep messing up. I need to get help. But he's on some like, I did what I did, what y'all gonna do. You know what I mean? Like
arrogant.
there's no sense of sincerity
No
to
accountability.
absolutely. And it's just like he's like, I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do. And again, like we don't know these people personally, but from the outside looking in, it makes me sad, really.
Yeah, yeah, and it's disappointing from Leo, from Mr.
Mhm.
Leo Terrell to John Gray. It is disappointing, right? That seems to be the theme.
and
It's
And I
disappointing.
wanted
Go
to
ahead.
clarify because I saw one of the comments come across that said, no, he knew he was married. I absolutely agree with that. And I feel as though the other panelists touched on that masterfully. But I just wanted to come in to also say that women have a responsibility in this as well to not present themselves to be with a married man. So it's a two-way street for me.
100%.
Sure. And especially, I mean, if it's not like that this was a secret. It's not like you
Right.
didn't know and he deceived you. But both parties have a responsibility. The man, you know what, that's another conversation for another day. But absolutely, if you know that this person is married, then both of you have a responsibility. I think the responsibility of the person that made the vow is heavier, and it's it's leaning heavier on that side. But like I said, we can talk about that all day long. So we're going to go to our last commercial break. We're actually going to have 2 commercials, and then we're going to go to our last topic for the evening. Stay tuned.
Bowtie Brown Productions presents Listen to My Thoughts with J. Damian Brown on Facebook every Tuesday at 9:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Listen to My Thoughts, a Bowtie Brown production.
Advertise your brand or business on Churchy Chats with the Church Girl. Commercial spots start at just $5. That's right, just $5. Your brand can be seen by 1,000+ people weekly. For more information, email churchychats@gmail.com. All right, we're on to our final topic of the night, and we're not going to hold y'all too long, Saints, but Shana actually sent me an article, and I had seen this before, and it just had been so long, I just didn't really think about it. But if you all are familiar with the brand God is Dope, you see the shirts everywhere. You see it all over social media. It is actually not a Christian-owned brand. And in the video that I sent out to the panelists tonight, the young man was saying that his issue wasn't even so much that they weren't Christian, as much as a lot of their merchandise also has, church phrases and stuff like that. So they're appropriating church culture, using our stuff, our culture to make a buck. But how do you all feel on the basis of just God is Dope not being Christian owned? How does that make you feel?
For me, it's not even about the fact that they're not Christian owned, because I patronize non-Christian businesses all the time. So that's not the thing for me. I think that they have commodified the Black culture, the Black Christian culture, and they're doing what they're doing. What got me though was that there was this one particular shirt that they had that I was actually trying to find it. But when it was promoting a message that was not Christ-centered. And if you're going to present yourself as a Christian brand but not own up to it, then that's where when you start trying to nullify the gospel, then we got a problem with what you're putting on t-shirts. Then I have an issue. I don't have a problem with you, getting your coin, but some of the stuff that they're promoting, they're trying to come off as a Christian brand, but then they're also being toxic in some of the things that they're putting out that misrepresent Christianity. And I have a real problem with that.
Yeah.
This was my first time getting this information, so I personally do not want to patronize them anymore. I feel as though anything that I put my money into, if I don't know, ignorance is bliss. But now that I do know that you are not a Christian brand and you are making money off of God, as Coach Shaniqua said in the comments, prostituting, and pimping out God for personal gain, I definitely don't want to wear your brand on my body or promote it at all whatsoever. I'm good.
Okay. Donovan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I have some on both sides. Because as soon as Lauren was talking about that, I just started thinking about Starbucks and Chick-fil-A and all these places that I like, that you hear that they support Trump, and you're like, okay, this is not even a political thing. This is about like human rights. How are you supporting somebody that's perpetuating white supremacy and all of these things? But I love those brands. So it's always trouble when the brand is actually fire. Like when it's good, it has that little extra element into it. I don't know if do you guys remember a company in the early 80s or mid 80s called Troop? Does anybody remember the brand Troop?
No.
That was okay. So so LL Cool J, he had a brand deal with this company Troop, and the brand was good, but it started to die off because it was believed that they were run by the KKK.
Okay.
And so definitely, I will say that representation matters. Who is backing the thing does matter. And I think it goes hand. I think it's hard to divorce, just somebody getting their coin with misappropriation. So for me, I think I would also have to say, it's kind of a difficult thing to promote that in good conscience for me. Although there is a scripture, I watched this thing. This guy had a review on it on YouTube, and he was talking about this scripture in Philippians where Paul was saying, "Yeah, there are people that are using the name of God that are not fully convicted." And he says, "But the name of God is being put out there, so praises anyway."
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think I would still fall on the side of I don't know if I'll support that. I think there are brands that are just as dope that are fully Christian owned, and so they have the conviction behind the message, and that is more consistent. So that I would be supporting consistency. But if somebody happens to come to God through God is dope, that's dope too.
Yeah, and that was kind of my thought. I don't have any of their of their apparel or anything that they sell, although I think it's dope. God is dope. But my thought process on that was God can take a crooked stick and throw it a straight mile, right? So if I don't necessarily agree with the appropriating of the church culture. I definitely don't agree with them twisting, as Shana added, things to mean different things. I would never stand for that. And that would probably be more of a reason that I would not support them as opposed to them not being a Christian brand. But if you are bringing somebody to God, even if you're not a Christian, then if God is being glorified, then I'm not beefed out with you, honestly. Now, when we talk about, back to Shana's point, when we talk about, misrepresentation and twisting of things, that's totally different. But just on the basis of you all putting God's name out there, I have no problem with you doing that. Because people are gonna use what they want to use. People are gonna do what they want to do, and you have to answer to God for that, right? But if God's name is being on people's chest because of God is dope, then more power to you. Because it's Christians out here, as we just discussed, that ain't representing either. So ain't no need of me beating up the sinner or the lost person when we got Christians out here that's not represented in the name of God.
Yeah.
This is I wanted to share the quote that was on this one shirt that did it for me. And I was, you know what? I cannot get down with them. So the shirt says, "Oh, because I thought a non-believer said something."
I've seen that on my timeline quite a bit this past week.
As an evangelist, that I cannot get down with that because that is the complete wrong approach to take if you're trying to offer somebody salvation. Like,
absolutely,
what kind of garbage is this? And that was what did it for me. I was like, yeah, okay, nope, I'm not going to be able to do it. And I literally, I had not brought anything from them. And the day that I saw that post, I had just bought something from them 2 days before. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, because the Great Commission, that's for us all to go out and be fishermen of men. So why would we try to discredit somebody simply because of the fact that they're a non-believer? We should be trying to approach them with the love that Jesus would approach them with. And that's what's going to win their soul over, not degrading them or discounting them.
Absolutely. And I'm going to play the devil's advocate right here, because there's a scripture, 1 Corinthians 1:18, I believe, that says the news of the gospel is foolishness to people who don't believe, to the lost. It's foolishness. Right. And to us, we know the deal. And I'm not saying that that's a salvific passage as much as they could be like, not that they would have this argument, because I don't even know who these people are. Right. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with the owners of God is Dope to even see if they even have any, you know what I mean? To see what their
right. If they're atheists or if they're, where they stand.
Agnostic, where they stand. But I could see a believer releasing that shirt on the basis of that.
I can't. For me, it's a real problem. If this was in fact a Christian brand and they released a T-shirt like this, I'll be lighting them up, because the Bible says, "With loving kindness have I drawn them."
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't disagree. I'm just saying I can see how that could be something, because there are times that we are so attacked, right? There are times that the church is so attacked by unbelievers. And these are not people who, and I mean, God can change anybody, but it can make you so frustrated, right? It can get you so frustrated, like, okay, because as a Christian, I am going to offer my Christ to you, but what I'm not going to do is beat you what you believe up. I'm just not going to do that, because I might poke holes in it, right? But I am not here to just tear you down based on what you believe. And a lot of times Christians are torn down because of what we believe.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, plain and simple. And you like, I didn't do nothing to you. Like, what is your deal? You know, and I know that there can be a level of frustration with that. But I absolutely agree. It's with loving kindness that you've drawn me. But I just, like I said, there's that devil's advocate. You
Did
know,
you guys never see the so right after George Floyd, there was this picture that was going around, and it had Colin Kaepernick kneeling on the neck of the police officer. Did any of you guys see that picture?
I don't know if I saw that one.
Yeah. So I had a friend, a personal friend that was circulating this, and I had to call him, just send him a little DM and be like, hey, I don't know if you want to put this out, because this is actually bad messaging. Colin Kaepernick is not preaching revenge.
Right.
Just like Christians aren't about revenge, right? We're about pushing the positive message. We're not about this retaliation and stepping down to the level of what we're combating ourselves against, And I kind of remember that. This sounds very, very similar to that, because I know we can be frustrated and we've got to think about that. But that's like when Jesus was telling Peter, bro, why are you chopping off this dude's ear? That's not our brand, bro. That's not what we're trying to do. So that's a challenge that we as Christians do have to worry about and develop, because we have to be strong to stand up for ourselves. We can't just be doormats for people, but we have to be disciplined at the same time, because we can't step down to the level of somebody who is, doing the exact opposite thing of what we're all about.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
And to me, a non-believer is not my enemy.
That
my enemy, my enemy is Satan. So
Sure,
a non-believer, I want to talk to you. I want to hear you say something. So it's not, oh, I thought a non-believer said something. I want to hear what you have to say, so then I can tell you about my God and what he's done for me and what he can also do for you. So I just, if the shirt said, oh, I thought Satan said something, I'd be cool. It'd be a totally different story.
100%.
Right. And I absolutely agree with you all. I see both sides, right? I see both sides of the coin. And I mean, God is dope is, I mean, a brand out here, like many of I think Lauren spoke to it, or Shana spoke to it, that, there are many brands that we may support and get behind that's not Christian. And we're okay with that, because God is not written on the merchandise. It does not, I mean, does that really make it okay if their beliefs are fundamentally against what we believe? So I'm kind of the type of person that if we're going to start with that, then, and we all have our rights. Don't get me wrong. We all have our rights to, patronize who we want to patronize and for our beliefs. But if y'all gonna stop buying Tide, because back in the day, they was like Tide devil worshippers. If y'all gonna stop buying Tide because the owners are devil worshippers, then we need to research every product that we have, who owns it, who they worship, who they're responsible to. So it becomes a slippery slope. And if you're going to do that, more power to you. But I'm gonna use this good game and just trust that God is gonna make it work on my behalf. You understand? I don't care who is making it. I don't care who is making it, because once we start that, it can become overwhelming. But we absolutely have our rights to not patronize who we want to patronize based on our beliefs. So I don't want people to think that I'm saying that we don't have the right to do that. But I just want to thank everybody for tonight's fiery conversations. It was such a wonderful time. I want everybody to take a quick opportunity and tell people where they can find you on social media. Tell them what you're doing and all that good stuff. and we will go in the same order we went in earlier. Come on, Lauren, tell everybody where you can be found and all of that good stuff.
Hi guys, I can be found on Instagram at the Lauren Spearman. So THE Lauren Spearman altogether. I'm on Facebook under Lauren Spearman as well. And my podcast launch for Check on Your Strong Friends is October 1st. So I'm super excited about that.
Congratulations.
So thank you. So I'm about 8 episodes in. So we're going to release them bi-weekly and we're going to have a big launch. It's going to be amazing. So I'm so excited.
Okay, congratulations, and thank you so much, Lauren, for being on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Donovan, talk to the people, tell them where they can find you, what you got going on.
Hey, Don D's, man. I got the same handle on YouTube, Instagram, and I also have a podcast called Urban Prophets. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, Google, all those different spots. And I'm on there with my buddy, man. We are both Christian pastors, but we just talking life on there. So it's really nice. Comes out every Friday. So check it out, man. Hit me up.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Donovan. I appreciate you being on tonight. Shana, talk to the people, sis.
Yes, you can catch me as far as the podcast Save Millennial Radio, where we talk about all things for Christian thinkers, for the millennial Christian thinker, and amplify our perspective. That can be found on Instagram at saved_millennial radio. And then if you like to toss and shuffle the pots and pans around and you want to learn a little bit about cooking, then you can follow my business page, which is Faith Fair 1 over on Instagram, where I do live cooking demos and some education, and I'm always showing off my good food. So check me out there.
Thank you so much for coming back, Shana. I appreciate it. This is Shana's second time on Ask a Church Girl. Ask a Church Girl. That was something else I was doing on Churchy Chats. And I'm just so grateful. See, it can get all jumbled up in there, but I'm just so grateful. And just a note before we go off, I am so grateful for everybody who tunes in week after week and who joins the conversation. This is it's a part of my dream, and I don't take it for granted that you take the time and you be a part of this, and it just means the absolute world to me. So I'm just so appreciative, and for all of my guests who have just come on and been like, "Yeah, girl, let's do it." Most of these people don't really know me, so it is a testament to God and how gracious and kind He is to send people your way that love and support you and don't even know you, so I'm excited about connecting with Christian influencers, and please follow these people, see what they're doing, and support them as well. Well, that's all we have for tonight. Y'all stay on. We're going to chat for a second afterwards. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, and we'll be right back next week, same time, same place, right here on Churchy Chats with a Church Girl. Good night.
Good night.